With just 40 seconds left on the clock and the game pretty much wrapped up, the entire TD Garden suddenly went silent. It was a routine play, a brilliant assist, and then agony. So Caitlin Clark, the absolute engine of the Indiana Fever, crumbled to the floor in pain. But this scary injury, the one that now puts her all-star appearance in serious jeopardy, wasn't just a random moment. It felt like the breaking point of a night filled with pressure, frustration, and intensity that had been simmering just below the surface. So the Indiana Fever walked into Boston's TD Garden on July 15, as we know. With a ton on the line, they were facing a tough Connecticut sun, and this was way more than just another game. It was a fight for a playoff position. And as always, all eyes were on Caitlin Clark. But the Clark we saw wasn't the sharpshooter who seems untouchable. This was only her fourth game back after a nagging groin injury, kept her out of 5 games, kept her out 4 or 5 games, and you could tell she was still fighting to get her rhythm back. Since her return, she'll be struggling to find that usual high scoring form. The pressure was building not just for the team to win, but for Clark to be the superstar everyone expects her to be every single night, even when she's clearly not 100%. She's the number one target for every defense she faces, and the level of physicality thrown at her has been a hot topic all season long. Every drive is met with a body, every screen is a battle, and the weight of carrying a franchise of being the face of the league is sitting right on her shoulders. And this game felt like a perfect storm of all that pressure. The Fever needed a win, and they needed their leader to get it done, no matter what it took physically. The stage was set for a true test of endurance, both mental and physical, as you may know. So from the opening tip, you could just see the frustration mounting. Clark's legendary shot wasn't dropping. She was having a hard time finding her range. On her way to a tough 4 for 4 shooting night, as you guys can see in the box score, we go down below. So she was 4 for 14 night, including only one make from 7 attempts behind the arc. Every time she tried to drive to the basket, she was met with a wall of Suns defenders playing a physical, grinding style defense meant to wear her down. And this wasn't just an off shooter night, it was a grind. Then in the third quarter, the frustration started to boil over after multiple drives to the hoop where she took a lot of contact with no call. You could see it get into her. While we couldn't hear everything she said, her body language told the whole story. She was constantly talking to the officials, during dead balls, throwing her hands up in disbelief after getting bumped. And this wasn't about one single play. It was the pressure of the last few weeks of playing through the pain and carrying massive expectations all bubbling to the surface in raw, unfiltered moment. She was playing with incredible fire, clearly fed up, but she managed to keep it just in check enough to avoid a technical foul. And it was a clear sign of her competitive nature, but it also was a warning sign. Caitlin Clark was playing right on the edge. But it seems like she channeled all that fire and intensity into her game in a different way. When the shots aren't falling, the great ones find other ways to take over, and that's exactly what Caitlin Clark did. She switched gears and became a pure playmaker, hitting the boards for 8 rebounds and running the offense beautifully with 7 huge assists, as you guys can see on the screen. And she was the undeniable engine for the Fever, proving her value is so much more than just her 3 point shot. She controlled the tempo, she set her teammates up, and it all led to the final, fateful minute of the game. The Fever were holding on to a slim lead with the clock winding down. Clark had the ball. She drove hard into the lane, pulled the entire defense water, and in a brilliant heads up play, whipped a perfect no look pass to cutting Kelsey Mitchell for the bucket that sealed the 85-77 win. As we go up and you guys can see on the screen. And it was an amazing play, the kind of moment superstars live for, but as the crowd cheered, you could tell something was wrong. Clark wasn't celebrating. She pulled up immediately, her face changing from triumph to pure pain. She grabbed right at her groin, the same one that had just let her be sidelined for weeks. And the happy roar in the TD Garden just died. replaced by a quiet, anxious hush. You could see the devastating realization on her face as she limped to the sideline. The win was in the bag, but it looked like it had came at a terrible price. So for at least 40 seconds, Caitlin Clark had to watch the victory she just secured from the bench as her teammates closed it out. She sat with a towel over her head visibly, and I want to show you guys on the screen. This was her with the towel over her head visibly, as you can see, fighting back tears. The physical pain was obvious, but the emotional weight of the moment looked even heavier. This wasn't a new injury, it was a re-aggravation, which is the worst case scenario for any athlete trying to get back on the court. And this is where you have to ask the hard questions. Did she come back too soon? The fact that she wasn't playing at her usual level since her return suggested she was never really 100%. And was the pressure to get back out there to be the savior for the team and live up to the hype just too much to say no to? And now, it also, I want to ask you guys down in the comments below, does it also give the idea that maybe Caitlin Clark should play in those games that consider or contain hard teams that they play against, just so she can get them through to the victory, and then they bench her and let her chill out after she only plays in games where it's those hard, difficult teams that's going to be more challenging for her team, the Indiana Fever, so they can get through to get those wins. That can be a method, but not pushing it too much. Let me know what you guys think. And her visible frustration on the court and the relentless drive on that final play aren't separate things. And I want to show you guys that play, right? Supposed to be the league's big weekend. So what we saw at TD Garden was more than just a game. It was a 48-minute story that perfectly sums up the wild ride of Caitlin Clark's rookie season, right? We saw the incredible game-changing talent. We saw the intense fury passion that sometimes boils over, and we saw the massive physical and mental load she has to carry every time she steps on the court. Her frustration during the game wasn't just about a few missed calls. It was a symptom of the incredible pressure she's under, and the game-winning assist immediately followed by that injury. That's likely not a coincidence. It's what happens when a player pushes their body's own warning signs to drag their team to a win. And the Fever's victory was huge for playoff chances, but the image that will last for the night of Caitlin Clark, emotional and injured on the sideline, with what looks like the weight of the world on her shoulders, is a tough reminder of how fragile greatness can be. And even to mention not only how you can see after she made that play, but then you can also see that she was also fed up. You can see with the referees, man, like this, and there's been an ongoing thing with these referees all season long, right? This ain't nothing new, and this is we'll get to in a minute. Stephanie White and her update in regards of Caitlin Clark when she got taken out the game just before the game was over, and it's just it's a tough reminder of how fragile greatness can be. But the biggest question now isn't just when she'll be back, but what if anything needs to change so that the league's brightest star can shine without being forced to burn out. But check out what Stephanie White had to say.
Good question. It looked like Caitlin Clark looked like she got a little hurt towards the end there. Is there any update on her injury?
No update. Just felt a little something in her groin, so we'll get it evaluated and see what happens from there.
Yeah, just kind of to follow up on that, looked like she was kind of grabbing at her right groin area. Is that the concern?
Yeah, if that's the one she was grabbing at, I don't know which one it was, but yeah, I mean, that's it.
Good question.
Well, there you have it, folks. So what do you think the biggest factor here? The media and fan pressure, the league's physicality, or a player's own drive pushing her too far? Let me know what you think in the comments, and thanks for watching. On that note, family, love you guys. Peace.